All right, we've got some shocking news in the tennis world today. Novak Djokovic has hired a new coach to start the 2025 season, and it is none other than his longtime rival and friend, Andy Murray. I mean, this is just some news that you did not see coming if you're a tennis fan, or maybe you did, but it's definitely one of the biggest, most influential coaching hires that we've ever seen. Lots of ex players have become coaches, but not like this. So we're going to break it down here on the slice because that's what we do, and we've got lots to talk about. Welcome back to the Slice presented by Betway. I'm your host, Stephen Bowden, and our friends at Betway have Novak Djokovic at plus 240 to win the Australian Open 2025 with Andy Murray in his box as his coach. Those odds are always good for Djokovic at the Australian Open, but I feel like they've been improved this year because of the recent news of Andy Murray being his coach. So if you want more of my picks there, check out the Betway feed link below. But that's absolutely shocking news and very, very cool. It might be a PR stunt. It might be a flash in the pan. Who knows? Maybe they'll go on and win the Australian Open together and say, let's ride into the sunset together as player and coach. And this is just another turn in their legacy and their epic rivalry and career together that I don't know. I didn't see coming. So if you saw it coming, kudos to you. Also, kudos to Tennis TV, who is one of our sponsors and a great way that you can go back and watch the Djokovic Murray rivalry in ATP Tour matches in their archive. Tennis TV is the best way for tennis fans like you and me to watch tennis. Full stop. They got highlights up right away from ATP matches. They've got all the archive there, and you can watch matches in crystal clear definition without having to go to some weird illegal site. So check out the link below and treat yourself to a Tennis TV subscription going into the 2025 season. Okay, Djokovic Murray teamed up to maybe dominate the young guys on tour. Together, they have, let me do some math here, 27 majors, which is crazy. 27. Djokovic has 24 of them himself, and he was a lot of the reason why Murray didn't have more. But this is a super crazy matchup as far as coaching pairing, because we've seen celebrity coaches. We call them celebrity coaches who are ex-players who essentially just they get, to coach a lot of the biggest names or current players on the tour because of who they were as players. And even with Djokovic, we've seen him have some of the biggest names in tennis on his bag before. Andre Agassi, Boris Becker, Goran Ivanisevic, most recently, who was an amazing player, major winner himself. But this is different. Andy Murray becoming the coach of Djokovic, having just retired this year, is something I haven't seen before. I don't know if we've seen it before in tennis at all, especially in between two players who have played 36 matches together. I don't think we've ever seen that. And they're the same age, and they grew up together, and they played together throughout their entire careers. Murray's body did not hold up as well as Djokovic's has, and now Murray's retired, and I guess they've said, hey, why don't we team up? I'm sure Djokovic was the one giving the call, and, Djokovic likes to be a showman at certain times, so this could be kind of something to just have a story out there. But in reality, is there a better tennis mind out there than Andy Murray? You're going to go to technically from, who's the best coach out there? Well, Andy Murray's never really been a coach, so there'd be other people. But you're also talking about Novak Djokovic. He doesn't need help with his strokes. He doesn't need help with how to play the game. He needs someone in his box who he can trust, someone who he can rely on, someone who can kind of see things to slight areas that he can improve in a matchup, in a certain match that he doesn't see himself. And who better to call on than Andy Murray? Again, Andy Murray, they played 36 matches together. Andy Murray beat him 11 times, beat him twice in major finals. So that might be more helpful for one of the other players playing Djokovic. But actually, Andy Murray's also beaten Sinner and Alcaraz, which is kind of crazy. He's 1-1 versus both of them, and both of his wins came back in 2021 versus them when Alcaraz was much younger, and Sinner was definitely not the player he is now. But Murray's been there. He's played these guys, and he's played the modern game. So Murray's going to be helping Djokovic go into 2025, going for his 25th major at the Australian Open. And his biggest competitors are going to be Sinner and Alcaraz. And let's just be honest at this point. In 2024, Alcaraz and Sinner have, in my opinion, risen slightly above Djokovic as far as the level that they can bring consistently on the tennis court. Obviously, we saw Djokovic beat Alcaraz at the Olympics, and that was kind of Djokovic reaching into the heavens and getting some extra stardust from the tennis gods and showing his true vintage tennis self. It was a 3-set match, but a week and a half before that, Alcaraz destroyed Djokovic in the Wimbledon final. But Djokovic was still in the Wimbledon final. So Djokovic needs a coach in Murray now to try and figure out ways to beat and contend with Sinner and Alcaraz, because you feel like if Djokovic is going to win a major in 2025, he's going to have to go through one or maybe two of those guys. And yeah, like I said, Murray's got one of the best minds in tennis. His real life experience as being one of the greatest players of all time. That's A. Him having played Alcaraz and Sinner. That's B. Him having always been a very analytical, very technical, very, in questions. I've asked him questions in press before. You see the way his mind works with the detail in which he answers questions. He talks about, people say like, Andy, you should have been more aggressive. He's like, well, you can't just, being more aggressive isn't something that makes sense when you're talking to a pro tennis player. There's so many new levels to that and nuances to that. And honestly, as one of the big four members, he had the least weapons out of the four players. That's probably why he won the least. But you would think that he would have to then think about the game maybe even harder than those other guys did, who could rely just more on their weapons to get shots done. Obviously, all four of them are unbelievable tennis minds, but I'm just saying that Andy Murray was able to have the success he had, and a lot of it comes down to his ability to read the game and understand how to play tennis. And obviously, Djokovic knows that himself, but the reason these pros have coaches is because they can help see things that the players don't. Yeah, and Andy Murray being on the bag for Djokovic is just a formidable force. So it's going to be absolutely crazy to see in Australia Andy Murray sitting there in the box. And one of the funny things I'm thinking about now is, if things get stressful, Djokovic has always been wanting to give it to the player, to the team in his box. So was Andy Murray as well. So Andy Murray did that, and now it's going to be a little bit of karma, I think, when the going gets tough, and you can see Djokovic yelling at Andy Murray. If you're Andy, you can't get too offended by that, because you did it the same way to your coaches, to your family, and it'll be really funny. I kind of hope that they do that, and they'll probably get a chuckle out of it. But if Djokovic is getting really intense and barking at Andy, it's going to be funny, and I think Andy will, have empathy. Be like, yeah, I know how you feel, bro. Get back into it. Next point's yours. You got it. So that's going to be insane to watch. I cannot wait. And yeah, this is probably the biggest. Is this the biggest coaching news of all time? Again, we've seen lots of ex-players coach the greats. We saw Edberg coach Federer. We saw Ljubicic coach Federer. They played each other multiple times, but they did not have a rivalry like Murray and Djokovic did. And I haven't seen a player of Murray's caliber come out of retirement so quickly into the coaching game to coach, the greatest player of all time, who's still in the game trying to make things happen. So this is crazy. Coaching news in the offseason. Didn't think it would happen like this, but that's the slice on the Andy Murray, Novak Djokovic coaching partnership. Leave your thoughts below as always. That's pretty crazy. I can't wait to see what you guys think. Let me know what you think. Thanks for subscribing. Get us over the line of 20,000 before the end of the year. That is our goal. It's my Christmas wish. You don't have to get me a present. You can just smash subscribe. We'll get to 20,000. Click the link below for a Tennis TV subscription. Check me out on the Betway feed. We'll see you over there. Thanks for being here. That's the slice.